Hello, my name is Abigail Aguirre Garcia, and I serve as co-chair of the Lafayette Youth Advisory Board. The Lafayette Youth Advisory Board is a group of 11 middle and high school students who are appointed by the City Council to elevate youth voices and promote young people's engagement in the Lafayette community. In addition to making recommendations to the City Council based on our research and community-based dialogue on youth-related issues and other topics relevant to the city's young people, the board also creates projects and initiatives such as the annual Martin Luther King Jr. Day event. Since 2006, the Youth Advisory Board has hosted a candidate forum providing an opportunity for the residents to learn more about the candidates running for City Council. Tonight's forum will have 3 parts. First, each candidate will have the opportunity to make a 1-minute opening statement. Second, candidates will respond to open-ended questions developed by the Lafayette Youth Advisory Board and focused on topics of interest to young people in Lafayette. Third, candidates will respond to a series of yes or no questions using the paddles that they have been provided. Due to limited time and the number of candidates seeking office this year, there will be no closing statements. Pippa and Indy will serve as timekeepers. Please watch for their direction. When you see the red sign, please conclude your remarks. We thank you for your commitment to a respectful and engaging forum. It is now my pleasure to introduce this evening's other moderators, David Brady, Shabani Senthil-Kumar, and Eliab co-chair Vandy Wing.
Good evening. We are joined tonight by 10 candidates of the Lafayette City Council who are competing for 4 open seats. They are seated alphabetically by last name. To formally begin the forum, we invite each candidate to make an opening statement to help us understand why you are running for Lafayette City Council. Please limit your response to 1 minute. We will start on the left with Luke Arrington.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys having us and putting this on. I've been a Lafayette resident since 2013. I have 2 kids, a 14-year-old who's a freshman at Centaurus and a 9-year-old who was at Pioneer until he switched to Meadowlark because the Spanish immersion was just not working for him and he needed to make a shift. I have a combined total of 15 years between serving on the Open Space Advisory Committee and the Urban Renewal Authority, which focuses on South Boulder Road and the kind of urban renewal project area. I'm also anecdotally known as the house with the most Christmas lights. I go like Christmas vacation style, so like 15,000 lights. We do a big Easter egg hunt at the Chicken Park in Silver Creek. And I really like the open space and connectivity that we have here in Lafayette. I've supported small businesses during COVID and during my time on Laura, and really hope to continue that if I'm elected to council. Thank you.
Now Kyle Boulier.
Thank you so much. Good evening. I'm Kyle Bollier. I've been really looking forward to this particular forum because it feels a little bit full circle to me. A very long time ago for y'all, but not so long ago for me, I was in your seat, in student council, debate clubs, theater, and trying to ask the questions of folks who would seek to govern where I lived. And so I really admire and appreciate your dedication to service, to civic activism here in Lafayette. I think as young folks, you have a unique perspective. The past 2 forums, we have been talking about you, and so I'm really excited to talk with you today to hear a little bit more of that. And the reason for me why I'm running is because I see a lot of threats facing Lafayette, threats of affordability, of climate change, violence, a fractured media environment. And I've spent my professional career safeguarding against threats for the FBI, USAID, the State Department, working in coalitions and partners to guard against threats. So if elected to council, I would really seek to lean on this group, on this board, and your peers to get a sense of how you're looking around the corner, how you're seeing the future so that the City Council can best serve you. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having us and thanks for being here. My general platform is I'm running to be able to protect people here in Lafayette, to protect our open space here in Lafayette, and to protect our local economy as well. This is a special night for me, being with you young folks, as it were. I was a high school teacher for 15 years before I moved up to Lafayette a few years ago. And the thing that's really pushed me to run for city council more than anything else is I have a making a difference in people's lives shaped hole in my heart at the moment. And I really missed that opportunity to be in the classroom. I had a high school teacher back when I was young who would say to his students at every opportunity, you are the future. And I wanted to say that to you all tonight. You are the future. You're the future of business leaders. You're the future of politicians. You're the future community leaders. So great job. Keep it up. And thanks for having us.
Crystal Gallegos.
Good evening. My name is Crystal Gallegos. I've been a Lafayette resident for 10 years. I'm a current city councilor, and I am seeking re-election to a second term. I've loved the past 2 years getting to work with all of you and having the opportunity to meet so many people from our community, and I'm not quite ready to say goodbye yet. Some of my priorities for this term are responsible growth, maintaining our community's character, supporting our small businesses, and more. I encourage you to visit my website, Crystal Gallegos, 4, Lafayette.org, if you'd like to learn more about me. Thank you.
Adam Gianola.
Thank you so much. I have been a Lafayette resident for 19 years, and I've been volunteering in the community for about half that time. First with the Waste Reduction Advisory Committee, and then with the Sustainability and Resilience Advisory Committee. I've been involved with development of several of the city's plans, including the comprehensive plan, the climate action plan, the sustainability plan. I'm also currently on the zoning code working group, working on rewriting the land use code. In my efforts on Waste Reduction Advisory Committee, I've done just a lot of volunteering in the community. You'll usually see me at the Art Night Out event. I'm the guy with the Luigi hat on, hauling trash cans around, talking to people, helping people sort their waste. I'm really interested in helping the community thrive and become more resilient as time goes on, both with respect to climate adaptation, but also with respect to changes to the economy. Thank you.
Rob Glenn.
Good evening, Rob Glenn. First off, just thank y'all for putting this together. The involvement and efforts and wanting to have a voice and hearing us out is just super grateful. Moved to Lafayette in 2021, passionately fell in love with this community and the welcomingness that I got, the inclusiveness, the diversity. Kind of background, originally came here from New Orleans, and a lot of that culture I loved so much back home is here, but getting amongst that beauty of getting to cherish and enjoy the outdoors of Colorado and what it has to offer and the great open space here. Focal points is affordable housing as a whole. I'm a local realtor, so I have a great grasp on that, and I know as y'all are youth wondering if you can ever own a home, which I'm always happy to lend information on for that piece. But the other piece is we have tons of commercial, not tons, but we have a lot of available commercial space that is vacant, and there's opportunities to redevelop that for sustainability.
Anne-Marie Jensen.
Hi, my name is Anne Marie, and I want to thank you for this event. I want to say that I started out working in public policy when I was in high school, when there was a really bad accident from some friends of mine and who were doing something stupid, driving to the next county over to get beer, because we didn't sell beer in the county in which I lived. And so the first thing I got involved in, which is kind of weird, is trying to make my county have alcohol, which is strange, but I have been working on public policy issues ever since. And as a candidate, I've been focusing on affordable housing and sustainability, connecting our bike and pedestrian paths and making them more safe, and economic equity. I have been a public policy professional my whole life, and in that capacity, I've become very experienced at negotiation, and I bring that to the table, as well as, because I'm retired, the time and energy and availability.
Eric Ryan.
Hi, I'm Eric Ryan, without an L. And first of all, I want to thank the Lafayette Youth Advisory Board for putting this forum together tonight. It's great to see students getting involved and hopefully making a difference in government and for the future of our country. A little bit about myself. I grew up in South Florida, went to North Miami Senior High School. From then I went to Florida State University, but had to leave prematurely because my father was terminally ill and I had to help him in business. Since that time, I've been involved in several different industries, from manufacturing, importing, and cultivation. I've also held a general contractor's license in the state of Florida and have a great understanding of construction. I moved to Colorado 15 years ago and presently have a retail business in Lafayette for the last 12 years, which is run by my son. Because of that, I have time to dedicate myself to the city and the council. Thank you for your time tonight.
Saul Tapia Vega.
Thank you, and thank you to the Youth Advisory Board for putting this together. My name is Saul Tapia Vega. I am a current member of Lafayette City Council and a candidate for re-election. I'm unbelievably proud of the work that we've done over the last 2 years, not only because I've been a member of council, but because I'm a lifelong resident. I grew up in Lafayette. Escuela Bilingüe Pioneer, Angevine Middle School. I graduated from Stars High School. This is my city. It's my home. And because of that, I not only sit up here as a candidate for re-election, I am here at this forum for the same reason we're all at this forum, to ensure that our municipal leadership is making pragmatic and responsible decisions about the future of our city, the city that we all love and the city that we all call home. And these are the tenets of my campaign: responsible, pragmatic, community-driven decisions to build a resilient and sustainable Lafayette. I thank you for having us. I thank you for putting this all together. I look forward to the forum. I look forward to the questions, and I look forward to earning all your vote. Thank you.
Michael Watson.
Hi. 19 years ago, I made a decision that I needed to change things. I just gotten back from Iraq, and I didn't like what I saw over there, and I think that we can do better. Fast forward a year ago, on the advice of Rob, I was heading down to Louisiana to spend Thanksgiving in New Orleans. I met a woman there. She was hitchhiking down the street because her car got impounded and she was trying to get to her job. She's the sort of person who thinks that if God tells you, puts an obstacle in your path, you just keep walking and it'll get taken care of. She got her car impounded because it was a late ticket. I decided to stop and help her. My wife and I are both intelligent people. It took us 3 days and more than $2,000 to navigate the bureaucracy necessary to get her car back so she could continue living her life. That's unacceptable. And the thing about that is none of that was happening just from hostile business or federal government. That was all local government driven. And so I know what can happen when the local government goes bad. And I want to make sure that we don't have any of that here and work to make a difference as much as I can. Thank you very much.
We will now be moving on to our short answer question. Public health risks such as mental health issues, substance abuse, and gun violence have significantly affected youth. As a candidate, how do you plan to address public health risks to ensure the well-being of Lafayette's young population? Adam Gianola.
This is a really interesting question. I haven't thought a lot about this, I'll admit. We do have some county resources that I think the population in Lafayette has access to, that we can, direct people to when they need help. I also think that our police department are trained to, help people find resources when they need it. I think the goal there is to help keep people out of the justice system and actually access resources that are going to help them live their lives and not, put them into, a bad course. Thanks.
Luke Arrington.
Hi. My daughter's a freshman now. We constantly hear about, school lockdowns, whether it's here or, I work in Boulder, and, it's something that happens kind of too regularly. It's good to practice it. It's good to be aware because, gun violence is essentially, it's not something that's going away or, heading in the right direction. I do hope that there's adequate resources at your schools, counselors. I do hope that there's positive police interactions and with first responders. Having a relationship with them, I think, helps everyone understand where people are coming from, both as a high schooler, a teenager, and law enforcement's responsibility. I do really think that as much as we can want to have safe schools, make people aware of what's going on out there so we can try to act responsibly in the best way that we can. Thanks.
Eric Ryant.
Can you repeat the question one more time?
Yeah, of course. Public health risks such as mental health issues, substance abuse, and gun violence have significantly affected youth. As a candidate, how do you plan to address public health risks to ensure the well-being of Lafayette's young people?
Well, I agree with you. That is a problem today, and it is increasing. And I think, number one, Our local community needs to make more public awareness, needs education, and we also need to put aside some funds just in case we have to create some programs that would benefit our community. I also think we need a strong police department, and one of my platforms is to make sure that we have it, because to make sure there is safety in our community with all the violence that's going around in our country. As far as substance abuse, we do have some programs out there, and we probably need to increase it because it is a continued problem. Thank you.
Josh Barrel.
Thank you. I mentioned earlier that I was a high school teacher. Unfortunately, gun violence touched me and some of our community personally, so I take that pretty seriously and have strong feelings about it. Sadly, I also had lost a student to suicide early in my tenure as a teacher. And so I think for me, making people feel welcome, making people feel like they belong and that they are part of our community is a really important thing to do. In terms of how do we do that, I think having mental health programs, both in school and out of school, that are funded by the city is extremely important, as well as having a shelter for unhoused people, not criminalizing people who might be down on their luck or experiencing hard times for whatever the reason.
Mike Watson.
Yeah, so I've lived that. I mean, I know what it feels like. I mean, I've struggled with depression, alcohol, you name it. Took a while to put myself back together. Due to all of that, I think purpose, health, community. Like, it's not enough to simply have programs to help people. We need to have a community that's ready to reach out when we see somebody in need. Whether it's your neighbor, whether it's a random person you pass on the street, like, we are all our brother's keeper. And we need to live that. And I think the foundation, for me, what worked for me, not only like the help of my kids, but also dedicating myself to try to make a difference in other people's lives. And also health and fitness. I can't express how important that is for mental health as well. Just being like, your body is kind of the seat of your mind, and so taking care of your body, taking care of each other. Thank you.
Rob Glenn.
Really just kick things off, like, y'all have had it way tougher than when I was in school, with just the data and information that's out there. I was talking with somebody about this today. Like, when you think about, I was kind of I was a millennial, one of the last generations, like, really see technology and computers and information, and we were kind of secluded in a way, and the information is just in the forefront of what you're seeing. It existed when I was younger, but it's in the forefront. So it comes to education, working with public services, and having that safety of knowing they're there for you, our police services and so on. But I also had the opportunity today to tour Sister Carmen with Julie Pilar and just learn so much information about those community services. It's such a great that they're an organization so focused on Boulder County and the areas around us, and making sure in one hub there's so many resources that people can go to learn and support our public health.
Crystal Gallegos.
Sure. Thank you for the question. So as a mom of four and a substitute teacher in this community, I care a lot about youth mental health and wellness. And I think as a city, we are doing a great job during the day when programming is available. I wish we had more things happening in and around our community after hours. So I feel that I'm constantly driving my two teenagers around to other cities, because after 8 o'clock, our rec center is closed, our library is closed. If you want it to do something, there really isn't that much. I also encourage all of the youth out here to connect with their schools. I know some of our schools have fantastic wellness programs. Centaurus has a wellness center with great resources available. And if your school doesn't have one, you guys are the leaders in this community. I'd love to work together to help make that happen.
Saul Tapia Vega.
Thank you. And thank you for the question. This is an incredibly complex question, and it's something that we really need to address as a city. So I'm going to break this down in two ways. First is what we've already been doing. So I'm incredibly proud of the fact that Lafayette has a mental health and human services tax. It's something that allows our community departments to then take money and use it for Lafayette residents, mental health, human services. It's a very widespread tax where they can do a lot of different things with it, but mental health is absolutely one of the top components of that tax. Secondly, through my work regionally, through consortium of cities and through the county, we're looking at things for mental health. You will see this on your next ballot for one of the ballot issues for mental health. But really when we talk about this, and this is the second part of my answer, is that we're not doing enough. When we look at this and we look at especially our youth, this is something that touches every single one of us, and we really need to do better, not just as a city, but as not just about getting these resources out, it's about having equitable access to these resources for everyone across the board. I come from a Latino background, a low-income background. I want to make sure that when we do the work, we do it for everybody in our city, regardless of who they are or where they come from. Thank you.
Kyle Boulier.
Thank you for the question. I've spent much of my career working on political violence and violent extremism, so I think about this a great deal. And I also think, and thank you to a couple of my fellow candidates for sharing, I think too about the friends I've lost to gun violence or substance abuse along the way, the ones who are no longer with us. This is something that hits home for all of us. And so I think your question about public health risks is exactly right. And I think that means we need a public health response. So when you think of a public health response like the pandemic that we all endured a few years ago, you have to assess, you have to treat, and you have to prevent. And so I think a lot of great ideas have been shared about how to assess the level, who's committing the violence, who's spreading the drugs, right? We use our law enforcement, our co-responders, mental health professionals of the school. But who are the folks who are most at risk, most vulnerable? How do we treat them? How do we redirect them to a better path? How do we get them outside of that negative path they're heading down? And then we prevent, right? What programs do we need to invest in? What programs do we need to set aside? Crystal noted the lack of opportunities in the evening for teens. I think that's a big one. But really taking that big holistic approach to tackle this as a system. Thank you.
And Anne Mary Jensen.
So I want to echo what Saul said about there will be a ballot measure on the ballot. It's County Issue 1B that will raise about $14 million a year in additional mental health services, including services for youth and especially targeting LGBTQ youth. Right now, they seem to be nationwide a target. And I think this community can do things to protect people who are targets from other sources. They deserve our protection. I was the lobbyist for Ceasefire Colorado in 2013 when we did major gun reforms. I'm very familiar with the gun laws. One law that we have on the books that is often not enforced is that certain domestic violence offenders are not allowed to possess a weapon, but we often don't take them away after they commit domestic violence. So that's one thing I think we could do locally. I believe we should not tolerate bullying in our schools, and we can be a part of that change as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Youth programming plays a crucial role in providing young people with opportunity for personal growth, education, and social interaction. As a candidate, what specific strategies or programs do you propose to expand or improve for youth in our community? We will start with Josh Farrell.
Thank you for the question. This is a question that intersects my professional life, my personal interests, and my desire to help kids. One of the things that I'm really involved in outside of work is gaming, tabletop gaming, board gaming, role-playing games like Dungeons and Dragons you may have heard of these days. And I find that these are social endeavors. These things bring people together. This creates a sense of community, gives you a place to try out new ideas and new things, even aspects of identity that you might not feel comfortable trying out otherwise. I've had the opportunity to present at Denver Fan Expo, formerly Comic-Con, talking about using strategies to teach people games, using techniques that I had also used as a teacher to foster that sense of community and experimentation. And I would love to see programs that bring kids to the table for games.
Mike Watson.
Yeah, I don't know about programming. You guys know what you want. Like we can listen. We can like help out wherever is needed. But I mean, I think the main thing that I would want to work on, work on is civic engagement. That especially our young people, get involved in the community. There's like one of the platform positions that I'm taking is that pocket park that's going on public road. We should do that as a community. We shouldn't outsource it to some development company that's just going to like build a cookie cutter park for everyone. Like, let's get in the dirt. Let's plant the flowers. Like lay a path. Come together as a community and figure out what we want to do there. Get people out of their houses. Get people into the community. Get people talking. And then just listen to you guys. Whatever you want. I mean, it's whatever we can do to help you. That's what I would support. Thank you.
Rob Glenn.
Yeah, great question. With somebody earlier that mentioned more activities and programming outside of sports and athletics. And I have a follow-up that I need to learn more there because I asked Melissa earlier, who's with Recreation, overall community services, and want to learn more of what is out there. And then I would circle back and asking, which, by the way, great program, the Youth Advisory Board the city offers, that y'all are all here tonight doing this in your spare time. And want to learn more from the youth and community of what they would like to see more and what we have currently and where that can be added, or if there's things that nobody is interested in, what are we getting involvement in? So it's a lot more of kind of even what you just heard Michael saying, listening to the community of what options are. I will say there was some great volunteers a few weeks ago at the Open Space Day that the youth came out, and they'd been doing that every week all summer long, helping out along different open spaces and trails. So that was great to see that program.
Eric Wright.
Thank you. I think the first thing that we need to do is talk to the advisory board at your school to find out where we're having problems and issues and where we can better ourselves. Listening to you guys is really the core of what we should do. And then once we do that, I feel that, number one, you guys can probably use some professional or some mental health professionals, because there are a lot of issues now in school. It was a lot different when I went to school quite some time ago. And it's much more complicated. You know, you have the internet, which, has a lot of access to, which a lot of bad access to. So there's a lot of things that if we listen to our youth, it can really make a difference. I also feel that sports activities are really good to have to keep people active, healthy, and in the right direction.
Crystal Gallegos.
So I do think we already have some fantastic programs. I would like to do whatever I can to pass ordinances to help support and enhance, to make sure that you have the funding to continue what you are already doing. I personally love our library. I'm also the city council liaison to the library board, so I visit frequently with my kids. And I've been in the makerspace when it is incredibly busy. So I understand, as we continue to grow and that space becomes more popular, that we need to help support that and make sure that we are allowing access to everyone who wants to use that space. I am particularly jealous of Brighton's Youth Services program. So they have an entire program that's part of their government dedicated to youth services. They have a youth center, they help with scholarships, and then they bring back some of those youth into full-time positions after they graduate from school. So I would like to do more.
Kyle Bollier.
Thank you. I agree with what's been shared in terms of listening to y'all, and also respectfully, folks who are not maybe as civically engaged as the group of the Youth Advisory Board. So going out and finding young people around the community who are maybe less engaged. So hitting sports, arts, music, I think that's important. But taking a step back, I think we could really think about a structured apprenticeship program, right? It's oftentimes very difficult for a small business or a medium-sized business to stand up their own apprenticeship or internship program. But what if the city were to sort of partner with BVSD to have an apprenticeship program so that folks who want work experience can jump in, get a few hours. I understand minimum wage will likely come up tonight, so that's something we could figure out as well. But give folks some work experience that they can put on their resume and really think about, is this something that I really want to work on? Another thing that we need to invest in for children and young people to have those opportunities is better transit. Crystal mentioned having to drive her teenagers everywhere. That's because our transit is insufficient to get kids where they want to be to do the kinds of things they want to do. So I think those are some key elements to really think about. Thank you.
Luke Arrington.
So I'm going to answer through the lens of my two kids. I mean, again, they're 9 and 14, so we get to see a lot of this right now. I mean, Growing up myself, I mean, sports was a big thing for me. My son does a lot of that. He likes his soccer stuff. He likes his running club. The rec center, some of our open spaces and parks, I mean, are amazing, fantastic resources for us that have great programming, and I think we can continue to do more of that. My daughter really leans into kind of the theater kind of presentation aspect of things, and her school has been able to provide that. I mean, that's been a great outlet for her to be able to express herself, kind of figure out what she likes to do. Anytime we have to cut funding for that, I think is the wrong choice. I think it really, creativity allows everyone to figure out where they want to go in school and in their lives. So as much as possible, I would like to make sure we maintain those resources so that, everyone can kind of figure out their way.
Anne Marie Jensen.
So I agree with those folks who've said we need to listen first and talk to young people and find out what they think they need. But I also agree that the folks who are here tonight are the people who are already active. And it seems to me there's kind of two kinds of kids, some that are over-programmed and do everything, and then the other kids who don't because maybe their parents are working two jobs or they don't have the money. There's a lot more we could do if we had scholarships, if we were fundraising, if we were helping make sure that it's not just sports. Not every kid is an athlete. And so we need the arts, we need music, we need intellectual pursuits like maybe gaming or whatever it might be, but not every kid is going to be an athlete. So I think transportation is key. If we had a robust transportation system, and then looking at our facilities, there is nothing open at night, and we should look at what might be available that kids who don't have anybody at home could go to and hang out and be safe.
Saul Tapia Vega.
Thank you, and I think this is a question that's particularly important to me, and I can speak to it from a personal perspective. As I said at the beginning, I grew up in this city, so I know from firsthand that there aren't enough programs for youth in this city, and that's been something that I've dealt with since I was a teenager, since I was once a youth. To put it clearly, I mean, we need more. So I remember going back in my personal life, sports was my outlet, but unfortunately, I come from a Latino low-income background. That was the one outlet I had. Many of the folks that were around me, many of the people that I went to school with didn't have an outlet. And unfortunately, they didn't have access to a lot of these things. And we go back to the last question about substance abuse. I lost a lot of friends to substance abuse because they had nowhere to go. They had nothing else that they could do. So for me, it's about expanding these. And we had Melissa Heisel in the room, who's one of my favorite people in the city. And she runs a lot of different programs, both at the rec center and the library. So to me, it's about expansion of these programs. But really, it's about equitable expansion of these programs and allowing everyone in our city, all youth from all schools, to be able to take part and to really have the outlet and to really have the ability to do things with our city, whether it's civically engaged or just through the arts or through sports. So, thank you.
Adam Gianola.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. Youth programming plays a crucial role in providing young people with opportunity for personal growth, education, and social interaction. As a candidate, what specific strategies or programs do you propose to expand or improve for youth in our community?
So I think everyone, or a lot of people tonight have talked about, listening. And I think that's really the first step, right? We need to figure out what is important to the different youth groups in the city and try to implement some of those ideas. Find ways that we can integrate some of those ideas into the rec center or into the library, or if the capital bond passes, the new civic center that will be built. I think there's a lot of sports opportunities, but not everyone is interested in sport. I was not interested in sports, so that was lost on me personally. I'm plugged into the sustainability and arts community a little bit, so if there's folks who are interested in those types of opportunities, whether it's volunteering or specific programs, I'm happy to be a resource to help direct people to those kinds of opportunities. Love the makerspace. It'd be great if we had like a fix-it clinic so people could fix their phones or these types of things that come up all the time.
The erasure of history has sometimes been a topic of concern across the country. In Lafayette, the City Council has grappled with our local history, both good and bad. As a candidate, how do you plan to address concerns about the preservation and representation of Lafayette's history? Saul Tapia Vega.
Amazing. I didn't even get to finish writing down the question, but this is a good question for me because I've been fighting this for the last 2 years as a member of council. In fact, I'm very, very proud of what I've already done for this. I'm going to give a quick story, and I hope I can get it in the next 50 seconds. My first meeting ever on city council, we talked about the cemetery plaque. The cemetery plaque that is going to go in our Potter's Field that's really going to tell us about the history, the awful history of our city. And if you look at a history book, if you read about our history, you'll know that in the 40s and 50s, this city was run by the Ku Klux Klan. That is the history of the city of Lafayette, and our Potter's Field shows it, our Lafayette Cemetery shows it. That was 2 years ago, and it took me almost 2 years to be able to get that passed on city council. And we're finally, this month, going to unveil that plaque, and even then, we couldn't get the names onto that plaque, so the work continues. I'm proud of the work already done on this issue, and I will continue doing that work because it means so much to me. The history of our city is a history of all of us. It's a history of our community, and ultimately, we need to make sure that we address it, or else if we forget it, it's bound to repeat itself. Thank you.
Crystal Gallegos.
So it's very difficult for us to undo the wrongs of the past, and unfortunately, we do have some wrongs in our past in this city. We are very grateful to our local historians who have helped teach us. They've taught us so much more in 5 minutes here during public comment than many have taught us in hours. I encourage everyone also to do their own research and not rely on just a single source. I do think there is validity to reaching out to multiple sources and using that to help form your own opinion. Thank you.
Marie Jensen.
We can't learn from the past if we deny the past. And we have had some bad experiences, as Saul mentioned, with the KKK in this town, but we've also had some good. We were one of the communities that supported the striking miners in the 20s when other communities were persecuting them. Our founder, Mary Miller, actually loaned money to the striking miners to allow them to eat while they were striking. So we have a labor history that's been relatively positive, and we can learn from that, but we also should be able to learn from our mistakes. And if we try and deny our mistakes or hide them or sweep them under the rug, we cannot learn from them. So I'm in favor of making sure we tell the truth about who we have been and learn from that in the future.
Luke Arrington.
So, our town's history, I mean, we do have history. I mean, it's, it is our town, it's unique to us. It is very important for us to examine it and learn from it. I mean, again, yes, if we don't learn, we repeat. I do think it is worth acknowledging both the, good things and bad things that have happened in our town. Trying to, put a different lens or spin on it is something I really don't enjoy in kind of the current media environment. Things happened and, it's okay. I mean, that wasn't us that did it. That is someone in the past, but let's understand that and make sure that we, move forward and not, be stuck in the past. I really just, it's hard to deal with some of the time. It's just a challenge, so I really think that people should learn and take it to heart and then, consider what you've learned from it.
Kyle Boulier.
Thank you. I think about this a lot. I married into an immigrant family. I'm the grandchild and great-grandchild of immigrants. Lafayette has a rich immigrant history, and you wouldn't really know that walking around, right? We learned about May Miller and her husband, who she named it for, and that's kind of it. And I really applaud Saul's efforts to get the plaque. Like, we've kind of whitewashed a lot of our history, and we'll pay homage to the Arapaho and Ute and the Cheyenne folks and make it a land acknowledgement, but we don't really dig into the ugliness and also the beauty. Molly Miller was probably a bigot, and she was a feminist for her time. And history in its complexity is fascinating. And history is being written now by Lafayette residents, which is truly exciting, right? The diversity in this town, the eagerness to learn. I think there's a hunger to unpack the truth and sort of live into a microcosm of engaging with our history the right way rather than what's happening on a national stage to tell a whitewashed version of our history.
Eric Ryan.
Well, some interesting facts came out today, which I didn't even know. I didn't know that the Ku Klux Klan was running our community in the 40s and 50s. So I do think there needs to be more education and awareness to the community about our history. And I do think maybe it starts, in school. Maybe have a program that teaches Lafayette history, the true history of how it was in the past. Maybe make it an extra credit program, or have something at the public library so people are more aware of the history of our town, the mining history, Molly Miller. I mean, we have a lot of rich history, and I think it's important that our community is more aware of it. I'm amazed at what I just learned here with the candidates. Thank you.
Josh Barrow.
We hear the phrase "never forget" connected to troubling things that have happened in our past. We can apply that to our community here, as well as things that have happened on the global stage and nationally over decades. Critical thinking is super important to me. The mentor that I mentioned earlier was a history teacher of mine who encouraged us to ask questions, to dig deeper, and to make our own conclusions about things. But you do have to have information and knowledge in order to be able to do that. I think the whitewashing of our history, both local and national, is horrible. It's not doing a service to anyone, including our students, who need to learn the truth about matters as they grow up so they can make good decisions for our community and for everyone moving forward. And I would much rather see a land acknowledgement for the people who had lived here before us than a pledge of allegiance to something.
Adam Gianola.
Thank you. I am in favor of truth and honesty and not whitewashing over things. I think we should, accept responsibility for the mistakes that have been made in the past and actually find ways to draw attention to them, and especially to talk about the ways that we're changing and that we're making up for it. The city has a public relations department. I think it would be great if the city would start to put out information about some of the sordid past in the community, and talk about the ways that the city has changed and is addressing those problems, and reach out to the community to find out how that's impacted the community, and if there are additional ways that we can help the community adapt and come back from some of these issues.
Michael Watson.
Thank you. I think the most important part of history is that we learn from it, and when we learn from it, we alter our actions today to make sure that we're not repeating our past. It's fantastic to sit here and have land use acknowledgement of just acknowledge like all the bad stuff that led to us being able to live here. But then later on in that same meeting, we decide which part of our open space is next on the chopping block to be redeveloped into condos. That's a little bit disingenuous. And I think that if we really want to learn the lessons of the past, let's change how we act today to make sure that we're not repeating them. Thank you.
Rob Glenn.
If you don't mind, there's some layers to that question. I was hoping it could be repeated.
Of course. The erasure of history is something that has been a topic of concern across the country. In Lafayette, the City Council has grappled with our local history, both good and bad. As a candidate, how do you plan to address concerns about the preservation and representation of Lafayette's history?
I don't think there's anywhere in the world or country that you're going to have all good history, and it needs to be shared, because at the end of the day, we can't improve if we don't learn about our history, the good, the bad, the ugly. And there is a ton load of great history when we look at just the surrounding towns. I mean, Louisville and Lafayette both being coal mining towns. You had the Italian immigrants in Louisville, and you had the Mexican and Hispanic immigrants here in Lafayette. And what I love about that is the culture it has created in this town. And I think where you look at the uniqueness and the growth and development that has happened here and the way it has happened, I think circles back to that history and how it's been done in a smart way overall. With that said, we just have to continue to find ways to share the merit, the all of the above, acknowledge the bad, but then cherish the good.
Thank you.
The cost of living in Boulder County is higher than the national average. In Lafayette, kids who grew up here struggle to find affordable housing in their community as adults. How can the city of Lafayette address the high cost of living and ensure individuals of diverse socioeconomic backgrounds can continue to call Lafayette home? We'll start with Michael Watson.
Oh, thank you. I don't know, the first 5 years I lived in Lafayette, I lived in 5 different houses. It was really hard. There was not a lot of help available. I think one of the ways that we can offer assistance is to make sure that the people who are currently renting have a lifeline that they can call, somebody in city government that they can call to report either a hostile landlord or just the inability to make rent. And we'll have an organization together to help them. The other part of that is that it's not becoming unaffordable by accident. That's a concerted effort to develop it towards unaffordability. I mean, we call it economic growth, we call it whatever, but the reality for the people on the bottom is that it's just cost of living goes up and their paychecks don't match. And that's something that, I mean, honestly, we got to come together as a community and just talk about, because that's being driven by our own actions. Thank you.
Kyle Boulier.
Thank you. This is such an important topic, and it's come up in all the forums. It's come up in most of the conversations that I've had with Lafayette residents, and it's because it's front and center. But affordable housing isn't the only thing, right? It's costs across the board. I looked this up this morning. A $60,000 salary in 2005 is equal to a $100,000 salary today. And so what the way your money goes, how far it goes on housing, on groceries, on cars is very, very different than when most of us who grew up in the 1900s were growing up. So what you're facing, right, you're looking at a level cost that's significantly outside anything we've seen before. I think we've talked about zoning reform, we've talked about more inclusive housing, we've talked about a missing middle, but ultimately the way to address affordable housing is to build more housing. At the same time, we don't want to pave over the open spaces folks have shared, right? We want to keep kind of that intimate feel. This tension is what City Council grapples with, right? There's no easy answer. Do we turn it into skyscrapers? Do we keep it exactly the same? But I think the philosophy of compromise and collaboration and openness is one that we need to approach this question with. Thank you.
Luke Arrington.
Hi. So when we moved here in 2013, I mean, we rented for a year, and we were fortunate to buy where we currently live. I mean, if we were to buy again, I don't think I could afford to live here, honestly. I mean, it's a single-family home. We're lucky to have that, but we would be out further east or to the north. There's a lack of choice, in my opinion. Yes, there's a sea of single-family homes. You see that here in a lot of places in Erie, and that's the more common feature. I mean, we do need ADUs. We need apartments. We need condos. We do need density in the right places. Open space doesn't just get paved over with most of the time that's in perpetuity. So sometimes the things we think is open space are actual developable land, but there's code changes. There can be civic engagement on what people want to see in these areas. Being able to get around, whether it's to work or to school, are important factors, plus the cost of it all. So we have to go a lot of different ways.
Rob Glenn.
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, is kind of my living is dealing with helping people find houses. The inflation, I think some people brought up at this table right now, is that's the number one issue when you look at like what's affordable. Like your everyday costs are affecting from being able to get into a lot of that housing. It is important to mention that Lafayette has gotten in front of a lot of this. You heard about including unit growth. Lafayette built the first phase of Willoughby Corner has been completed, and the second phase is to be finished. And when that's done, it'll be 400 units. But just to understanding, I'm glad your question was around Boulder County and not just Lafayette, because that is controlled by Boulder Housing Authority. And then a lot of those average medium incomes, when we look at rent control and so on, are set by the county and the state of what that AMI is. So it's a lot deeper than that. But it's important that we continue to be thoughtful with our growth and where we place it.
Crystal Gallegos.
So this is a tough question to answer in 1 minute, but I'll try my best to get my ideas out there. So we have done some great work on affordable housing and ADUs, and we do need to continue that to make sure that we are reaching our affordable housing goals as set by the comprehensive plan. Something else we need to consider is 60% to 80% AMI is still really expensive. So unfortunately, at the county level, Our county, because of the amount of money that people make here, 60 to 80% of AMI is higher sometimes than market value the next town over. So we need to continue the work we're doing, also explore some regional partnerships to help reach those affordable housing goals so we don't have to worry about the next generation.
Saul Tapia Vega.
Thank you. So first and foremost, I just want to say, believe it or not, Lafayette is actually a leader in this space, not just in the region, but across the state. So we talk about Willoughby Corner, we talk about ADUs, we talk about a lot of different projects that are already going on in Lafayette, and we are by far and away the best in our county and one of the best across the state in affordable housing. And with that being said, I can tell you firsthand, it's not enough. I grew up here. I know exactly what the growth has looked like. I know exactly what the cost increase have looked like over the last decades. I can tell you that everyone I went to high school with is now gone. They no longer live here, and it's not out of choice. I mean, some of them it's choice, but a lot of them just couldn't afford to stay. So for me, it's just continuing the work that we've already done. But really, it's not a one-size-fits-all solution that we can really implement to fix this. It needs comprehensive solutions. So the houses are over $700,000. Rent is over $2,000 a month. These prices are just unbelievably unaffordable for the majority of our residents. So to me, again, it's a comprehensive solution, and it's continuing the work we've already done. Thank you.
Adam Gianola.
Thank you. And this is a problem across the board for everyone. It's not just the cost of housing, it's the cost of everything. As costs have gone up, wages have not kind of maintained. Thanks, Kyle, for sharing that statistic about what buying power has changed. Lafayette does have a good amount of affordable housing, and so it's important that we protect what we have, protect that from being redeveloped. We can do that through our zoning code to eliminate the ability of big rich developers to come in and tear down a trailer park and put in sky apartments that are really expensive. I don't know that building more houses solves the problem, because the houses that are being built, they're more than $700,000. They're $1 million. I just don't see that we can build our way out of this. This is a complex problem. We need to use all the tools that we have.
Josh Barrel.
Creating solutions like Willoughby Corner are great first steps towards helping have more affordable housing in our city. But when we talk about protecting our affordable housing, part of that to me means making sure that those units that are being built remain affordable. And I think there are ways that we can do that through careful planning, implementation. The land use code is currently being updated. There are folks here tonight who are actively involved in that process. And so making sure that when we rezone and look at the opportunities for those zones, that we're keeping some of those, or all of those units that are intended to be affordable. I did want to take a quick moment to say that ADU is an accessory dwelling unit. So that's like putting additional smaller buildings on properties that already exist. And I hope that can be helpful, but I don't think that is a solution in and of itself.
Eric Ryant.
Okay. Well, a lot of good pointers across the board here with all the candidates. And I do agree, costs are going up across the board. I just saw an article today that the average car is costing over $50,000. It's crazy. I do feel that Lafayette is doing a really good job and should continue to do so. Willoughby Corner, which has been mentioned, is a great project, and it will fill at the end 400 families. But we need to do more, and it does need to be studied. We have to understand the open parcels that we have available, look at it, determine the traffic, and really decide what type of residence we can put there, whether it's a duplex, quadplex, apartment buildings. This is all going to have to be looked at and studied before we move forward, but we do need to do more, and I do think Lafayette's in the right direction.
Anne Marie Jensen.
Are you picking on me? So I've been working on affordable housing for about 25 years, and I can tell you, I chaired the effort to pass an affordable housing tax for the county, which passed in 2023. It's raising about $15 million a year. But I am not happy with the way the decisions are being made about that fund. The advisory committee to the county commissioners for that tax is the city managers. For a big portion of that tax is the city managers who meet and then make recommendations to the commissioners. They don't meet in open meetings, they don't post an agenda, and there's no opportunity for public comment. We are 17% more expensive in Lafayette than the rest of the state. The legislature gave us the authority to change our minimum wage, which directly impacts young people who often start at minimum wage, and we haven't done it yet. We need to do that. We need to create options for seniors to move out of their homes so that other people can move into them. Many seniors have homes that are bigger than they need. And we need affordable ADUs, not just ADUs.
Immigration enforcement is a complex issue that affects many young people and their families in our community. How do you plan to foster a welcoming and inclusive environment for all of Lafayette's residents? What specific policies or initiatives do you propose to ensure that our community is safe for immigrants? We'll start with Rob Glenn.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's just scary that that's even having to be dealt with right now. One of the things that I learned actually that's helped out with Sister Carmen is they've created an appointment system. So you don't have people standing outside, and it could create the fact that they even had to think about but people, it's helped with efficiency, but it also was a directive on not putting a group of potentially low-income immigrant families out front where it could create an issue. There's a lot to learn about what the city can do overall to help and what it is currently doing. I have opportunity to learn more there, I will tell you, but safety is key. And I think we want to make this and keep what the city's about, the inclusiveness and the diversity, and make sure everybody feels they're safe in Lafayette.
Adam Gianola.
Thank you so much. I mean, the city is trying hard to foster inclusivity, and I think we're doing a pretty good job, but I think we need to do more. I'd really like to see the city take the city events and really reach out to the different parts of our community more directly to integrate parts of those communities into the decision-making process for how these events are run and how who's included in the event. So that's one way that I see the city can try to foster inclusivity more broadly. I commend our police department for their efforts in getting to know the community and protecting the community where they can. We do have some good community partners like Sister Carmen that do help our immigrant population, but they're not the only ones. So I think the city can try to do more to support those organizations that help those part of our community.
Josh Barrell.
This is a topic that is very important to me. It's one of the main reasons that I'm running for city council. One thing that I support is a no secret police law, similar to what California has passed, which would require all law enforcement to be unmasked and identifying themselves at all time. That's not because I'm concerned about our local law enforcement, but clearly we are concerned about federal enforcement, particularly ICE, and I want to do everything I can to keep them out of our community and keep our folks who live here safe from them. Another piece of that is a company that we contract with which uses automatic license plate readers. I believe there are 14 in the city. Flock is the name of the company. And again, while they're not supposed to be using that information for immigration enforcement, that information is shared with all of the other law enforcement entities around the state who can use it as they see fit according to their policies, regardless of what our policies are. So I would love to see those out of our city. Denver got rid of them, so it's not like it's a preposterous thing to do.
Anne Marie Jensen.
Well, I just got an email from someone in Denver today that they haven't quite gotten rid of all of them. They're still working on it. And the immigrant community in Denver really wants them to get rid of them. I think we in Lafayette are in a reasonable situation that we have good state law that says it is not the job of local law enforcement to do immigration enforcement, that we are here to enforce crime. And if we start enforcing immigration, people don't report crimes. If they're victims of crimes, they don't tell anyone, and they don't report as witnesses. So we need to make it very clear to the immigrant community that our law enforcement is not out to get them. But immigrants, I have immigrants in my family, and I can tell you that at least some immigrants are not showing up in public places, even if they're U.S. citizens, because they fear being arrested and then having to prove or not being able to prove. So I think we've got some work to do in communicating with the immigrant community about how we can help them.
Michael Watson.
Yeah, I mean, how much trouble do we want to get in? I mean, how much of our community wants to like lock arms and protect those in our community from getting taken away? Because I don't like what I'm seeing on the news. I don't think it's right. It's tearing families apart. It's cruel, and it's deliberately cruel. And the person in charge knows that it's cruel and laughs about it. So, what can Lafayette do against a hostile and increasingly belligerent federal government? And the answer legally is not much. What we could do, hypothetically, is offer legal protection to anybody who's willing to fight ICE if they're seen in our community, if we want to lock arms and push them back. But there's going to be some trouble. And if the community wants to just keep things quiet and then just we'll lose a few of our neighbors and we will all just bury our heads in the sand for a little bit, then there's not much that the city council can do to change that. That's got to be a community-driven effort. Thank you.
Crystal Gallegos.
So we are a city that is safe, inclusive, and welcoming to all, and that is something I truly believe. We love everyone, and we support all of their contributions, regardless of the way they arrived here. Some of the restaurants in our community we wouldn't have if it wasn't for immigrants. All of us came from someplace outside of Lafayette, Colorado. So first of all, I wanted to mention that. Something I care about is accessibility and outreach. So if there are members of our community who are concerned that they have family members who may be taken away from them, I'd love to hear and find out how they would want to be supported. We also have free legal resources here in our community. I know our library does a free legal telephone line. I forget the hours, but I would want to make sure that is available in all languages to anyone who needs it.
Luke Arrington.
So, I mean, hopefully you guys read the book 1984 or are familiar with it. I mean, it is, kind of very applicable these days, and it is interesting that if we were talking a year ago at the prior election, that this wasn't even a thing. I mean, it really changes every day, and I am thankful that this is a small town and a community in the best sense of the word, and I would really hope that our police department is getting direction from staff and council that is supportive, and we do value everyone in the community here. I think that really does. That is the definition of community, and it's one of the reasons that we rented and then bought here, and we want to stay here, and our family, I hope, will set up roots here or nearby. It's just mind-boggling what's going on and what people have to worry about these days. So I just want an inclusive community that supports one another as best we can.
Saul Tapia Vega.
Thank you for the question. Thank you for bringing this topic to this forum. This is a topic that hits close to heart for me. I am Latino, and I come from a minority family, but an immigrant family. And being Latino, being from an immigrant family, I can tell you that my community is really, they're being taken, they're being abducted, they're being chased by a federal administration that really doesn't do things the way we would hope they do. I think one of the biggest things is talking about this issue. At the first forum, we were all in the basement of the Ghost Box Pizza, and I spoke to one of our residents, and they told me a story of somebody in their backyard being chased by ICE. Now, this wasn't in New York, this wasn't in LA, this wasn't in Chicago, this was in the city of Lafayette, and this was only a couple weeks ago. So I think one of the biggest things we can do is just keep talking about this, empowering our community partners and letting people know that this is happening in our very own backyards, and we need to make sure that we're prepared for this. Now, we're also lucky in the city of Lafayette where we have an amazing police department that does community policing, follows state law. That means they will not aid federal authority. And I know my time is up, but this is just such an important issue to me. So continuing the work and making sure that we empower our community to know best and to know what to do when that time comes.
Eric Ryan.
Yeah, this is a very serious subject. I mean, people are living in fear, immigrants, and it's really a very scary subject. I just was actually in today, Krishna Grocery, and basically her whole, all of her customers are immigrants. She's seeing a lot of people are moving back to India because they fear the federal government and they fear ICE. So it is very serious. I do think that our city should offer legal service, have it established. So if somebody does get arrested, we can immediately help them and get them out of the situation as soon as possible, and also offer to other immigrants the ability to possibly see where they stand legally, help them legally, make sure they have the right paperwork so if they are stopped, they can be released and safe to the community. Lafayette does have a strong police department. I'm really, I think they do a great job, and Lafayette is a safe community.
Kyle Bollier.
Thank you. I really appreciate the clarity that a lot of my fellow candidates are sharing regarding the moment we're in, the terrifying moment we're in. And, you know, I thought about a lot from a national security perspective and from just like a regular citizen perspective. And so I think very, very clearly Lafayette should lead. ICE's budget is going to be $150+ billion. Do we really think they're only going to focus on immigrants in Chicago or LA? You know, so I will give the example of here. Like, as they continue to staff up and we know who they're hiring, they're going to look at other places like Lafayette. So I think we need to be very clear about the moment we're in and the requirement to defend our fellow citizens with legal norms, with erasing data that we can legally get rid of to make sure they're now identified, whether it's partnering with the River Valley School District to protect students. We need to be abundantly clear. And I'm sorry that our generation is an older failed you so that your generation is growing up in this moment. It's a shame, but we have to fight it together.
We will conclude the question and answer portion of this evening's forum and end our evening with a round of yes or no questions. We ask that you please respond to each question using the paddles that have been provided. Does everyone have their paddles? Alright, let's begin. Have you formally served on a Lafayette board, commission, or committee in the past? Have you volunteered your time to support a Lafayette-based nonprofit agency? Have you attended Art Night Out this year? Are you a member of the Bob Burger Recreation Center? Do you have a Lafayette Public card?
A what?
Lafayette Public Library card, I apologize. Have you participated in Lafayette's annual Martin Luther King Jr. celebration? Do you support the 2025 ballot issue to fund recreation center improvements, a new civic center, and service center improvements at a cost of $74 million? Would you allocate funding to build capacity for a restorative justice program in Lafayette? Would you consider allocating a portion of marijuana sales tax revenue to develop substance abuse and recovery programs catered to youth? Would you stand up to all the threats on Lafayette's values of diversity and inclusion and support the adoption of city's inclusion, diversity, equity, and access plan? Do you support the city's climate action plan to reduce greenhouse gas emission and prepare our community for the impacts of climate change? Do you support expanding Lafayette's mental health co-responder program? Do you believe Lafayette should have its own Health and Human Service Office to better care for the needs of youth and other vulnerable populations? Do you believe that free or subsidized childcare should be provided during council and other public meetings? Ustedes habla español. Another language other than English or Spanish. Do you believe that all residents, including members of the undocumented community, should be eligible to serve on city boards and commissions? Do you believe the city should host an annual Indigenous Peoples Day event? Should the city host an annual Juneteenth event?
Thank you. This concludes our 2025 City Council Candidate Forum. On behalf of the Lafayette Youth Advisory Board, we would like to thank you for your participation in this forum. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.